In today's video, I'm going to be making a small desk. This is a simple DIY project. Just apply these simple techniques and you'll be able to build any kind of desk that you want. So let's get to it. So here's the top piece. We already have this piece. It's already the perfect size. If you don't have a board, you can pick up a pre-cut board already, like at your Home Depot, somewhere like that, big box store. They usually have these tables of some sort already made up for you if you want to go that route, or if you just have a piece you want to cut down around your house, like this was an extra piece off of the desk build that I already did. The measurements on this is 32 inches, 22 and a half. It's not a very big desk. I'm going to be using this in my office as just a little extension of the desk I already have. So I didn't want anything permanent. I just kind of wanted to throw something together and show you how easy and fast it is to build something like this. Now, if you go to your hardware store, just your standard 2x4, just have to try to find the most straightest ones. Whatever you can find, it will be fine. Nothing special, just some 2x4s. If you have some laying around, that's great. The ones that I had just wasn't quite the height that I wanted my table at. So I just picked up a couple of these. These are about $3.50, somewhere around that range. For two of these, you're looking at about $7 already, and I already have the top. Throw some paint on here. You can get this built for every bit of $15, easy. I do have some screws. Now the screws are these drywall screws, number 6, 2-inch. I'm just using these, and since I'm trying to do this on a budget, I just got some of these. If you start adding all this up, we really don't have much into it. I already had a top, which saved us quite a bit because that's where most of your money is going to be spent, is on the top. But these 2 inches, that way we can get through here. 2x4, but it's really about 1.5 inches. So remember that. So 1.5 inches, that'll put us in the board at least 1/2 inch. That's perfect. I don't want anything bigger than this, and that's going to be good. Now, when it comes to putting your top on, another thing to remember is what the thickness is. Now this is basically plywood with a piece over top of it like a veneer. And this piece is 3/4. If you're going in 1/2 inch, that's safe. If you go any deeper, you're gonna take a risk of hitting the top, which you don't wanna do. And you're gonna wanna screw this in from the bottom, not the top, to do this. If you do it from the top, obviously you're gonna have these screw holes and you don't want that. Just make sure you know how thick your top is. If you decide to use a thinner piece of wood for the legs, you can. I didn't go with something thinner, seeing that the table's not very big. I wanted it to be as sturdy as possible without it being too heavy, because once again, the top isn't too big. I'm not going to double up any of these because the table is so small. So we're going to measure out on these boards. We're going to line them up down here on the one end. It's got a bit of a bow on that end, but that's fine. Match these up. This is going to be from the floor up. These need to be 36 inches, which is going to be 3 feet. So our table's going to be 3. If you're building a regular table, I would do 30 inches. So that's what I'm going to do it at, 36 inches. Now we can go out to the chop saw and we can cut these exactly where we need them at. And these will be our legs. That'll be one side. Then we'll have to do another side, which would be another 36 inches. I'm probably gonna stack these, make it a lot easier when we go to cut them out there. Once again, before we cut it, we're gonna measure again. And the reason why I say this is because once you cut this, that's it. So bring your saw down, even if you're using a handsaw, make sure you're right on the line. You don't have to have power tools to do this. You can use a handsaw. It just takes more time and energy. But that's fine. I've done a lot of things with a handsaw and that's perfectly fine. Just make sure you cut on this side. So if you want to make a little mark, letting you know, hey, this is the bad side. Cut on that side. Make sure your saw blade is on this side, the bad side, the side you don't want. Make sure it's on that side. If not, you're going to be 1/4 inch short when it comes time to put them together, and it's not going to be at the height that you want it at. Then you're going to have to make adjustments, and that's just going to be more money wasted. So make sure when you're cutting this, you're on this side of the wood. Let's go outside now and use our chop saw. I didn't want to use the chop saw in here because I think that it's just too messy. So we're going to go outside. We're going to use the chop saw. Let's get it done now. Booyah. So we're going to make sure that these are lined up push this back against here. All right, come down on here. We're gonna line this up the best we can. Pick our measurement, 36, that's it. So we have our 2 pieces cut. We're gonna do 2 more at 36. We gotta write these measurements down. It's a little cut off piece of wood, usually a good way to write something down. So we know we are at our 22 3/4. I like to be right at 20 inches total. When I put this on the other board, I wanna have a little bit of an overhang. So I wanna be at 20 inches. So that means from this point to this point needs to be 20. And these are 1.5 inches. So we know that we're gonna need 3 inches taken off of there. So if we do 20, take away 3 is 17. So these right here are gonna be about 17 inches for the inside. But right now we're gonna need 2 more of these at 36. We can just take one of these boards out there to make it easier, line it up, do our pencil mark, or we can remark it. Now, I particularly wanna remark it. That way I know I'm at 36. I'm only gonna have to mark this once because we're cutting 2 at a time. So we should be good. Let's line these up on the edge. Make sure we're lined up here. Looks good. Now I'm gonna go ahead and mark these at 17 so we can go ahead and get them cut. 17, perfect. We have our legs here, and so how this is gonna work, this is gonna come up here, this is gonna be like this, and that's it. Simple and easy. Now we're just gonna get a piece of sandpaper, just something to knock the burrs off. So any kind of sandpaper works fine for this. If you wanted to sand these down and stain them, you could. We're not staining this. What we're gonna wanna do is have some pilot holes. And the reason why we wanna have the pilot holes is because we don't want to drill into the board and split our wood. So it's better to have a pilot hole. You could skip that part if you don't have a drill bit, just go really slow. All right, so for our board, flipping it upside down, this is gonna be the bottom side of it. The one thing you wanna do is get one of your screws, whichever you're using. You can use scrap screws, it doesn't matter. It's not really a big deal. You wanna make sure that when you put this on here, that it's not gonna go through the front of it. So you're gonna wanna look at it. So if I dig that into the wood too much, it's gonna go through the other side and I don't want that. So you gotta be careful. Now we're gonna get our drill bit. You wanna make sure that the bit's actually smaller. This is just a 1/16 of an inch. I think that's gonna be plenty. When you're dealing with a small drill bit like this, you definitely wanna be careful because it's really thin, it's really small, and you don't wanna mess nothing up. So we're gonna put a couple holes here, and we're gonna put a couple holes in the other one. Put these on each side, evening them out. So imagine this being here. We're just gonna lay it down there. 1 inch, 1 inch, and then I want it to be off an inch right here. 1 inch, okay. Perfect. Now I'm gonna make sure that when I put this other one in, we're still at an inch. So that basically sets the stage for putting this together. Add our other 2 screws. That side looks good. Then we'll just take our board. We'll kind of do the same thing, right about 1 inch. And then on the side, all right. Then we'll set our other one. Okay. 1 inch. Yep, looks good. Okay. Now we're going to take our legs that we cut and we're going to put those on here. If you have a square, just see if you got it square. Seems to be good. Looks good. So everything looks great as far as that. Now what we're going to do is drill our holes. Go ahead and start these. Then I will have them all ready. Line it up best you can. There are other things you can do. You can add some glue if you wanted to add some glue to it. It's not necessary. Now if you wanted to add an extra one, you can. I think I probably will. Just one in here. Keep the top a little bit more stable and laying down flat. You don't have to add this one. I'm just going to do it. We're going to add a couple boards here. So these were cut at 17. Gonna get a clamp so I can figure out where I want this at. I think right in here is probably good. And I think doing that will make it sturdier. And that's gonna put us 10 inches to the top of here. That seems pretty good to me. That looks about 10. We're going to get a level just to see if we are level. We're gonna measure out 10 inches. Both sides are done here. We're gonna turn it over and get the other side. Make sure we're still at about 10 inches. Right there. All right, I think we just have one on that side to do. So during making this video, we noticed we probably do need some supports at the bottom. It'll make it a little bit more sturdier. I wanted to show you how to improvise rather than having all the perfect of everything. So I used a couple old pieces of wood. Let's check it out. That I'm happy with. It is nice and sturdy. I wanted it light enough and I want it to have the extra on the sides where I can grip it, be able to move it around. This was a very easy, fun project to do. You don't need anything fancy to build something like this, and I just kind of wanted to show you how simple and easy it is to do this. Paint the legs, do what you want with it, and it'll look great. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. Hit the like button, and we'll see you in the next one. Booyah!